All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce, with special guest Michael Murray from Atlanta.
What's up?
How you doing?
Good. How you doing, bud?
Good. Now, welcome back after our saga on Saga. We're finally talking about another band today, so I'm super excited because we've been trying to put this together for months, right?
Months. It's
Yeah.
been a very long time. Yeah, we've been talking about this. You kind of went AWOL there for a bit.
I did, and I was dark on the web for a while and busy summer, and now here we are. So I'm excited. And for those of you who don't remember from Saga, Michael Murray, fraternity brother of mine from back in the day. Are we going back 40 years? Is that 40 years yet?
I
Not quite
think
yet,
it
40
will
years,
be.
35 years.
Yeah. Well, you were 87 when you
86.
start.
86.
86.
So
Okay. Yeah.
we're in the low 30s.
We're getting there.
We're getting there, yeah. So anyway, we are both music fans, and we have plenty of banter back and forth for the last 4 years here in the cave, and you bring a lot to the table in that regard. And we've been chatting about music, and one of the bands that we identified that we were into is the band Marillion. And I see your
That's
shirt
right.
right there. And so I'm excited to talk about Marillion today. I'm going to let you do plenty of talking, but for those of you who don't know who Marillion is, especially if you're not of a certain age, British band formed in 1979, 79 to now, still plugging along. Classic prog rock that moved to neo prog rock. If you don't know what prog rock is, you're going to have to, we'll talk a little bit about that, but you have to look that up. Divided by two eras, one singer for about 4 years and then another singer for the rest of the way. But anyway, we'll get to all that. But tell us about Marillion and you, Michael. What's your story with Marillion?
Well, I mean, I think like a lot of people of our age, Marillion for me really started with Misplaced Childhood in the Kayleigh video. That's, I
So
started
good.
hearing that in college. It was
So good.
amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, my lights just went out there. Um, like many people, I fell in love with that song. I love the way he said Kayleigh with that Scottish kind of brogue to it.
Yep.
Uh, I begged my wife to let me name our daughter Kayleigh, and she did not agree. So she became Kayla. So close
I have
enough, I guess.
in my career as a nurse practitioner, I have run across at least one patient who's named Kayleigh, and I looked at the year of birth, and it was around 1986, 87, whatever it was, and I said, "Are you named after a Marillion song?" And they were like, "Yes, my parents, yes." So that did happen at least once in my career.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I bought the album. Bought the album from the disc in Stores, Connecticut, as a matter of fact.
Nice, yeah.
And played it, and I absolutely loved it. For those of you who aren't familiar, I mean, the lead singer and at the time lead songwriter went by the name Fish. It's
An F,
Derek.
Fish, not
Yep,
PHS, not
correct.
PHISH.
But he, to me, he was very prog in his writing, in that, he was basically a poet who did his poetry to songs. And he has an amazing voice. A lot of people compare him to Peter Gabriel.
Yep.
So if you like Peter Gabriel, the sound of Peter Gabriel's voice, then you should check out early Marillion, because you will be very impressed. But he also he goes from, the Peter Gabriel kind of soaring lyrics to spoken word stuff, and kind of goes back and forth. And I think, Mark, you and I were talking at one point about how precise his enunciation is with the
Right.
words.
Yeah, he's
And
even going like this in the video. He's actually
yeah,
like
he's like,
saying, he's speaking, he's like
"Yeah."
making the gestures of what he's saying.
Right,
Kayleigh.
right.
Like I just love that Kayleigh video, to your point. He's dressed in a trench coat, his hair is messy, he's not necessarily the most attractive guy, but he is
Yeah,
singing, and he's singing this awesome song, and you can actually feel the way he's feeling in it. And I just love that video. It's one of my favorite videos of all time.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And he did actually end up marrying the girl in the video.
Yep.
They divorced shortly thereafter, but
Yeah, yeah.
the check mark was done. Married
Right.
hot girl from video. Check next.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, they like I said, they started off back in '79. They had their first album was Fugazi,
Yeah.
um, which of the
Not to be
four I
confused with Fugazi right here, the
right,
band.
exactly. Um, Personally, that's on my list of records. That would probably come in fourth out of the four that they did together. Um, then they have the Misplaced Childhood. No, Script for Justice Cheer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was their second one, and then that's actually the shirt I'm wearing right now.
Yep.
Um, I I love that album, and I think as a Pink Floyd fan, you would appreciate the concept album that it is. That is just one of those things that you put the headphones on, you put it on track one, and just for the next hour, just leave me alone because I'm just going to experience this. And it's the same thing people would tell me about. Oh, well, I listen to Pink Floyd Animals every night. I'm going to just listen to that and
Guilty as
go
charged.
through. Okay, wasn't actually thinking of you this time, but a friend of mine did that.
Right.
But I absolutely love that album. It is just like I said, it didn't have a massive hit per se on the radio, but it is just so amazing. I mean, he sings about lines from Chaucer. I mean, who does that?
Right.
Uh, it is just really interesting stuff. And then Misplaced Childhood came out. Kayleigh,
Yeah,
Susan Salt Kimono.
that went to number one in the UK.
Yep.
Um,
Um,
so for those of you who don't know, prog rock is super heavy on keyboards, right?
yep.
You say that, right? You don't necessarily hear many guitars per se, although on Misplaced Childhood they seem to kick in on the second half. But definitely a lot of grand keyboards and part one, part two, part three, part four of one song. One song can be 14, 15 minutes long.
Right.
But the thing, so as I told you before, today I was in the car to drive 3.5 hours up to Vermont, and I put Misplaced Childhood on and played the whole thing. And this is what I had forgotten, and that it was what was notable was number one, the lyrics. It's just constant telling of a story. There are very few choruses on that record. He just
Right.
writes, and it just keeps going on. It's amazing. It's almost like you're at a Broadway play and you're listening to a soundtrack to a Broadway show, but without the choruses and stuff. It's just constant lyrics, which it was amazing, by the way. No break between songs. Like one song goes into another. And the only time there was a break, I realized it took me a minute to figure out why after the fifth song. It's because that's when you had to turn the record over or the cassette
Right.
over.
Right.
So when you're listening to it through, you're like, oh, that ended there, but that's the only reason. So that was interesting. And I just thought just so good, but it takes mental energy because you'd have to really you have to listen to it a lot to hear the storytelling, to hear what he's saying. Like there's no taking a break. You can't look out the window and lose track of what's happening. Amazing. And this was the whole record. And to your point, Pseudo Silk Kimono is a 2-minute song. That's the intro. It goes right into Kayleigh, and then Lavender. Those were the two singles. Bittersweet. I mean, all these songs. Waterhole gets really heavy with, actually, that's when I felt like I first heard guitars. Later, there is a little bit of choruses, but like, I was just kind of like, I don't understand how they put out singles because you can pick these songs out, but they're all part of a story. But people did that with Tommy and with all these other things, so it happens. But it's a pretty amazing record, and they did it more than once. That's who they were.
Right. Well, I
Who they
think,
are.
like you're saying, it is a story from start to finish. And even Clutching at Straws, like the last one that Fish was on, I mean, it's basically his story and what happened. We got rich and famous. I mean, it's kind of well known. He had some substance abuse issues, little alcoholic problems. And that's kind of, as you go through that album, it's him telling him, this is what's going on, this is what's happening. And it eventually led to him leaving the band because, as he said, he had ego and alcohol problems, and he was very hard to deal with, and that's probably why he divorced the very attractive woman in the video.
Yeah, it's a story
But
of a 29-year-old unemployed alcoholic singer.
yeah,
And the album had managed to go to had two or three singles on it and did quite well. And I shared this thing with you the other day on some random prog rock Facebook page. Someone posted a picture of that and said, "This is my last great favorite Marillion album," and
mm-hmm.
there were 300 comments on it. 300,
Right.
300 comments on that record alone, and they have 20 albums between the two singers. We haven't got to the other singer yet, but they have 20 albums. You know how many albums Van Halen had with David Lee Roth? 6. How many with Sammy Hagar? 4. How many albums does U2 have? 15.
Okay.
Marillion has 20.
I know, right?
Led Zeppelin had 8. I think
they have stayed together. And I think the amazing thing is not, I mean, 20 albums is amazing, but the fact that they were so popular for 4 albums with a lead singer. I mean, when David Lee Roth got kicked out of Van Halen, there was a lot of people who were like, I'm never going to go listen to Van Halen again. They did another 16 albums
16,
with another
right?
guy.
Yeah, right.
And they are, we talk about that for just a minute. They are immensely popular. I mean, in the prog rock genre, I mean, they are still a very huge band. And we were talking a little bit before. I mean, every year they actually have Marillion Fest weekend in 6 different countries where they will have a full weekend devoted to their fans, where they show up, they do concerts, they do meet and greets, they have vending going on. I mean, it's like all day events. I mean, Rush used to do the same thing, Rush Fest once a year, but they do it 6 different countries. I mean, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
And I've got friends that have gone up to Montreal like 10 years in a row. I mean, they just go and go and go. I mean, that's so cool to me.
Everything I read says they are one of the all-time. They were like number 35 on some music publications out of 50 top live bands to see.
Mm-hmm. I have never seen them live, which I've always regretted. But I hope to change that before the end. I know I follow Fish on Twitter and a few other places, and he talked about the possibility of coming back to the United States and doing a tour because he still tours in England. He actually, it's interesting, former rock star, lives in a basically like a cabin up in what happened there? A cabin up in Scotland. He grows his own food. He's really kind of reinvented himself,
right?
But he does tours, and he said the last time he toured the United States, the concert was great. Like, he made money on all the shows, but when they figured out how much it cost to get all the equipment to the U.S. from England, pay for all the hotels and all that crap, I ended up losing $35,000 on the tour, and I just can't do that.
Right.
So I don't know. I'll be in Scotland in October. You never know. Maybe
you never know. That's right. So with him, they had the #1 album, Misplaced Childhood. They had 11 top 40 singles in the UK with Fish. Not to be outdone, 89, Steve Hogarth joins. In his career, they had 12 top 40 singles, but they had more time to do it. 8 top 10 albums between 83 and 94 between the two singers. And so Steve Hogarth takes over. I listened to their first album with him, and at first I thought he kind of sounded like Fish in the first one they did. I think that's what I was listening to. But then later I listened to Brave from '94, and he doesn't sound anything like Fish, and it was much heavier. It is prog, but it's heavier, guitar forward prog, and that went to number 10 in '94. But that's a really interesting record, Brave, and I really liked it. I listened to it from beginning to end, and I did it twice because I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I did not touch near all 20 of them, but from what I heard between the two singers, I do appreciate it. But I do like Fish's voice. To your point, there's something about his voice that I'm drawn to. So I think that I would see him solo if I knew he was doing Marillion material.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Like I said, I've seen some posts that he did. He does do Marillion stuff. He is not ever reunited with the band. He said, Steve is doing a fantastic job, and I don't need to put myself into a bad situation by trying to, be a part of that again. I respect them, and that's that. So it's kind of like Steve Perry in Journey. He's like, yeah,
Right.
that they got somebody else. It's cool. I'm done.
Right.
He has had some of the band members back him up on some stuff he's done, but it's never been like, hey, you're coming here for a Marillion minus Steve, tour. It's just, I'm doing new stuff. You can play guitar on this, and that'd be cool. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. When I was listening to Misplaced Childhood, I was like, I hear some sticks in here, like, like Grand Illusion, that kind of stuff. Like, it was just a lot of different things that I heard through there. And musically, like I said, I'm a little late for prog because I was a little young to be turned on to the likes of Yes, and I was thankfully turned on to Rush early enough. But I've come around to appreciate that more, in part thanks to you and Frank Sassano as well, because you guys have kind of talked a lot about that in the last few years. So.
Well, I think me and Frank actually became Facebook friends and chat quite a bit now because of this particular channel and our common love for Prog. So that's actually been a nice little side effect.
Right. Absolutely. So let's see, what else do we got here? 20 albums. You prefer Fish over
I do.
Hogarth? Yep. And
yeah.
It's I do think it's hard. It would be hard for me to just listen to one song and then another song from another album, and then another song from another album. It feels like you have to kind of, like, for many of them, you just have to commit and listen to the whole thing, because many of them are stories. No.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I don't know that they've ever done a greatest hits because I just don't feel it would work.
Right.
Because, like you said, the songs run right into the other. I mean, there's like a little, outro going into one song, but it goes right into the intro of the next song. There's like a very minute pause on the CD, so you're not even sure, is this track 4 or is this track 3 or what's going on here?
I'd have to look at my phone and be like, what am I listening to? I had to look at my phone and be like, which song is this? But even then you look and it's like, it says the name, but then it's got like 4 names after it, part 1, 2, 3, and 4, and each of those have their own name.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's
my
right.
Dog. We'll do the walking through. I have to let my dog out here. But
that's easy. I can
that's Loki, in case anybody wanted to see him. Come on, you got outside? No, actually, he was just begging for a treat.
Oh, I know. So far, mine have been pretty quiet upstairs. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Well, there's a pattern with my dog. I come home, he gets a little, he gets a dentist snack when I walk in. He eats that, then he gets fed, and then he goes outside. But now he's trying to break the chain and get something else, which is,
got it.
That's a no.
Right.
Dogs.
Yeah. All right. So you say so your favorite album is their second album? Is that what you're saying?
I think, Script of a Jester's Tear is just, I think as a complete album is amazing. I think.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to listen to that one because I did not listen to that one in the car today. So I guess I'll be doing that tomorrow.
Oh, awesome! I would check that out. I mean, I think people are familiar with most of the songs on Misplaced Childhood.
Yeah.
Clutching at Straws is
So it's pretty
It's
dark.
good. Yeah. It's almost in stereo. Yeah, it's dark. Like Incommunicado was actually a hit for them off that album. So as far as a single, you could listen to that and kind of get a little bit of a feel for it. I mean, Punch and Judy from Fugazi was, people might know that maybe. That does get played on the radio every
Mhm.
once every 6 months. Um, for me, I mean, that was. I won't say I don't like it. I don't listen to it as much as the others. I'll go
Right.
with that.
Sure, that's fine. And there's a lot of material there to even pick out of. I mean, when you have a favorite, you gotta, you go with what you love. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, like you said, it's really hard just to pick like songs from different eras and try and listen to them back to back because they don't flow. Like you can pull songs off of four Van Halen albums and be like, this is awesome.
Right.
I don't know that you would have the same effect. I think, well, Rush you can kind of do that with, but that would that'd be the equivalent of like, oh, let's play the Trees, and then oh, Tom Sawyer. I was like, wait a minute,
Right.
uh,
Yeah, exactly.
there's a gap there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I almost feel like we would have to do a whole separate show on the Steve Hogarth era,
Mhm.
um, because it is different.
And 16
Um,
albums is a lot. Yeah, right. And he's
yeah,
definitely very much his own thing. And as I said, that Brave record is heavy with more guitars. His voice is different. It's a different
yeah.
band. It's just the same name, but that was amazing. And clearly they're doing something right because they're still plugging along. So
They're still plugging along after all this time, and
yeah,
I mean, how many bands put out? I mean, even if they started fresh, how many bands put out 16 albums?
right.
I
Exactly.
mean, that doesn't. I mean, that's like the Stones, I mean,
Right.
like you mentioned, U2 only has 15, right?
Yep, that's right. Yeah,
So
pretty amazing.
that's a pretty much a testament to staying power and overall popularity. Now, again, I mean, we kind of laughed about it. I mean, they're all big in Belgium and Austria and the Netherlands and all the Prague strongholds.
Right.
But
But
you can still hear them.
but hey, they're making a living. So I mean, just didn't catch on in the US really. So
Well, I mean, we have to get off the U.S. centric music outlook that a lot of us have.
yeah.
I think that was the best thing about college for me was, getting introduced to people who had gone to England or for transfer students that were showing up with these CDs for bands I had never heard of. And it's like, what is this?
Right.
Uh, yet I think I said one time, is it breaking out of uh, the classic rock cocoon and getting
Right.
into different things. I mean,
Right.
there's so much out there. It's crazy.
Connecticut was the armpit of classic rock for sure
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
80s. Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh, Up until, yeah, like you said, in the late 80s when they finally started getting, PLR kind of expanded a little bit and,
Yeah. That changed my life.
AQI up in Mass started playing some stuff. But yeah, it was always, free bird. Not that
Right.
there's anything wrong with that, but
There isn't. Right. But yeah. Um it was nice to get a refreshing new source of music back when it wasn't as easy to just press a button and listen to whatever you wanted. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I know you worked at Music Outlet later on. But I mean, for me, it was going down to New Haven to Cutler's and
Cutlers,
going
yeah.
into the import section and seeing, hey, what are people listening to in London right now? Because that's the cool stuff.
Right.
Uh,
Nice.
yeah, at least
Right.
until Tom Petty came around.
Right. Right. All right, so song of the day. We have to play Kayleigh, even, we just have to because the video is
It
so
just has
good.
to. Yeah.
There's no way around it at all. But I would like people to check out Living with the Big Lie from Brave. That's one from Steve Hogarth that I listened to. And you have anything else you're going to recommend song wise?
I mean, I would definitely go Incommunicado. That's a good one.
And that's from Clutching at Straws, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I'm looking at, I mean, Script for Adjuster, it's, I mean, Garden Party's good. I mean, it's just kind of hard because
Hard to
that one
pick
is
out of
such a
there.
concept album.
Right.
Interesting, just I know we're kind of wrapping up, but you mentioned Kayleigh. If you go to the where they filmed that video,
Hmm.
we actually have lyrics of the songs in the bricks now, in that little plaza of the park that they're in. So you can walk around and you can find, dancing in stilettos in the snow is carved into the rock of the floor there.
Oh, that's cool. That's neat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
like
is
that.
kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about that video a lot and that song. I just every time I hear that song, I crank it up, and it never gets old. It's so good.
Yeah, it never gets old. You
Yeah.
just listen to it over and over again and be like, man, that was awesome. And like you were saying, just watching him, you know, putting the emphasis on the words and stuff, and you're just
Yeah,
like, yeah,
he's got this way he moves his head when he sings. He's got the microphone and he's just doing this thing. He's enunciating with his fingers and his head, and it's just all very the story is very believable.
right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would go with those, and yeah, hopefully people will check out some of the stuff and get some new fans.
Yeah, let's get some comments below. People who are willing to branch out, check out some Marillion. You got a lot of material to choose from, as we said. We pointed some stuff out, and I would just dive in and give a listen and see what you think. But we love the comments, so tell us what you think below. If you're a fan already, let's hear from you. Michael Murray, finally, thank you so much for being on today. Love the shirt.
Oh, my pleasure.
Love
Thank
the
you.
shirt. And we'll come up with some more topics to talk about. We can.
All right. Well, if I don't kill your membership viewership completely by talking about Prog, we'll come up with something else.
It makes no matter because all we do is talk about music, and that makes me happy. So I don't care about the clicks, and I'm happy when we have new product. And I love having people on because, just me by myself for so long, I can only do that for so long. So I need to mix it up a little bit. So I love chatting with people about music, and certainly always a thrill talking to you about what you like and your knowledge. So you bring a lot to the table. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always fun talking.
All right. So you're going to take it out with me. We're going to wrap this up.
I guess so.
All right. Hope whatever you're doing today involves music. Check out Marillion today. And as usual, we'll catch you on the flip side.